I think my best friend's fiance hates me and I don't know why. I never thought I would find myself in a situation like this, but here goes. My 23-year-old male best friend's 24-year-old male fiance hates me and I don't know why. For the purpose of this story, I'll call him Finn. A little backstory. Finn and I have both known each other since we were in 6th grade. We grew so close from there that he had grown to be a part of my family, and I a part of his. Around the summer of my 10th grade year, I came out to my parents as gay. Let's just say that they didn't take it too kindly, and I ended up disowned, but that's a story for another day. To make a long story short, Finn's family happily took me in and treated me with nothing but kindness. When Finn and I graduated from high school, he went on to work under his father while his parents helped me pay to attend college. During my time away for college is when Finn met Sarah, 27-year-old female. I believe it was my 3rd year of college when I finally got to meet her. It was during a family dinner. I greeted her warmly and tried to make my best impression because she's my best friend's girlfriend. When I went to shake her hand, she looked at my hand in a weird way. I don't want to say disgust, but I'm not sure how to describe it. I felt a little bummed, but it was whatever. Maybe she is just nervous. After that school break, weird things started happening like me and Finn's messages randomly being muted, or my number randomly being blocked on Finn's phone. At one point it got so weird that Finn contacted AmITheA to see if it was a glitch or something. Obviously I'm guessing it was her, but I would never accuse someone without any hard proof. Plus I'm like 2 states over at the time, so I literally have no proof. Things got even worse when I moved back home after finally graduating from college. Because I have so much respect for their relationship, I never tried to make plans with Finn. If we went out at any point, it was because he was sure he had nothing planned, and he would set the date and everything and then let me know. This worked fine, until it didn't. I want to clarify that we got to hang out about 2 or 3 times a month, for about 3 months. After those 3 months, that's where things started getting weird. On the days where Finn and I planned to meet, Sarah would call him and have some sort of situation literally about an hour or less from the time we would be meeting. She would say things like she's having car troubles, she's feeling ill, or she is lonely and needs him. I never felt right trying to stop him from going to her if he needed to. He would say he didn't, but just to avoid anything I'd cancel on him just to make him go see her. Surprise, there would be no car troubles and all of a sudden she felt so much better. Eventually Finn and I stopped hanging out as much because it just got annoying, for me at least. We would see each other at family gatherings, but that would be about it. Fast forward to January of this year, Finn proposed to Sarah. Everyone including myself had been over the moon for them. Who wouldn't be happy to see their best friend tie the knot with someone they love? Let me be the first to say this has been the shittiest time ever. To start, she puzzled everyone by immediately making a post on her Instagram story with a picture of her and Finn. She captioned the picture better than the rest, with a kissing emoji. This led me and Finn's older siblings asking him if he cheated, because who's the rest? Finn responds that she's just too excited to make sense. That made no sense to me either, but not my circus. With their wedding coming up soon, their planning has been nothing short of a nightmare. Her family for some reason doesn't want to help with the cost of the wedding, which isn't their obligation, so I get it. But we as a family decided to all pitch in and help them get the best wedding possible. After everything had been covered, there was only one thing left. Who would be in the wedding party? We knew there would be one since she talks so much about it. Finn only had one request, and that was me being his best man. She initially agreed, but after a few weeks she came back and said that me being best man won't be possible because she wants that spot for her brother. This caused some troubles for them, and things were almost called off until I had just talked to Finn and was just like, it's fine, just let her have it and enjoy your day. Don't let me be the reason you lose what you two have. Of course I was upset about it, but I would feel worse if things went south because of me. I would say that was my biggest mistake, as now it feels like she is flexing her power. Recently, during another family dinner, she brought up seating and shower us a few pictures. Why would I not be surprised that she sat me at a table away from those I would call my family? When she showed us, I got a few glances from Finn's parents and siblings, and damn, I might be a doormat, but I was just fine with it if the wedding still got to happen. My problem is I just want things to be fine, if not good, between me and her. I don't know if it's because I'm not related by blood or she's homophobic or whatever it may be, but I don't want this to be a constant thing. I hope that with time, things would get better, and they really haven't. I'm hoping things get better after the wedding, but I'm not even sure. I don't want to talk to anyone close to us and start something, and I'm really considering going low contact with Finn if this solves the issue, but I don't really know what I'm doing here. How do I go about this while protecting my relationship with Finn's family, my friendship with Finn, and not destroying his relationship? It sounds like you really need to have a heart-to-heart conversation with Finn and express your concerns. It's clear that she may consider you a threat to their relationship and may have some homophobic tendencies. You should talk to Finn, without his family present, and lay out the facts about how you feel excluded and pushed away. It's important for Finn to understand the impact his fiance's behavior is having on your relationship. In the end, you may need to prepare for the possibility of estrangement, but it's crucial to address these issues before they escalate further. If you really want that parking spot, you should just ask. I don't have an automobile. I keep the car in the public parking lot next to my apartment. It's a 2 minutes walk. It has closed circuit television that is actually being used. Needed footage for insurance purposes. The council was more than happy to look through 3 days of footage, and the parking permit isn't that expensive. A few weeks after we moved here, I found my spot. Well, it technically wasn't mine. We don't have assigned spaces, but I used that spot for over a year, and no one had any problems with that. It wasn't under any trees. It was next to a fence on one side, perpendicular to any other spots, so no one parked next to me on the other side, and it was easy to turn around. This is the only long-stay parking lot in the town center, so it's always fully packed between around 9 a.m. till 5-6 p.m. Everyone who works or shops in town uses this one. The spot I called mine was perfect in a sense that it was relatively far from any other spots, except the other two behind it. And I used to do night shifts, so I left the car there from 6:30 a.m. till 9 p.m. And this spot kept my car scratch and dent-free for over a year. Except one time as one idiot reversed into my car, as worker shoppers came and went, so all in all, it was perfect for me. A year or so later after I found my spot, someone new moved into some of the flats and wanted my spot. First, they started leaving their car there, even though they must have seen mine there pretty much every day. I didn't mind if it wasn't available. I parked in another spot. But if it was empty as I've got home in the morning, I used it as much as I could. When leaving their car there every now and then didn't work, they pulled their wheelie bins next to my car. It was strange, but I just put the bins back next to a wall. The next day, the bins were there again. I put them back again. The third day, the bins were there again, so I wrote them a polite letter and dropped it into their mailbox. The flat number was on the top of the bins, and asked them not to put their bins next to my car, because if it's going to be windy and the bins scratch my car, they might be liable for the damages. The fourth day, the bins were there again. I wrote another letter, pointed out that their flat number is on the top of the bins, so it's not rocket science to figure out who they belong to, and asked them again not to put their bins next to my car. I also pointed out that the closed-circuit television in the middle of the parking lot is actually functional, and I can ask the council to find out who and when puts the bins next to my car, and they might be liable for criminal damages. And since they block my car into a spot in a public parking lot, they also might be liable for causing an obstruction to the public highway, which again, is a criminal offense. The fifth day, the bins were there again. At this point, I was sure that they either don't speak the language and don't understand my letters, or they just generally don't give a care about them, so I was moving their bins back next to the wall every day. Until bin collection day. It was 4 black wheelie bins, for 2 flats. As I've got home in the morning, I lined them up next to the fence, and then very slowly parked next to them so close that my finger wouldn't fit between my car and their bins. And since I've got to the parking lot at 6:30 a.m., and the bin lorry usually came around at 7 a.m., I popped into a Greg's, bought a coffee, sat back into my car, and waited for the collectors. When they arrived, they looked very confused and asked me why I blocked the bins in, so I quickly explained the whole story. They told me that the rule is if they can't reach a bin, they won't come back to empty it, and since my car is unfortunately blocking all 4 of those bins, they can do nothing. They gave me 4 tags that says they were unable to reach the bins, to put on them once I'm done having fun, and they'll come back in 2 weeks to empty it. So that's what I've done. Once the bin lorry left, I put the tags on the bins and went home to sleep. Their bins, with all the stuff in it, were there for the rest of the day until I left at 9 p.m. But miraculously, weren't there the next morning I've got home. For the next 2 weeks, they tried to fill them as much as it was possible, but they've had to resort to bin bags, which the bin lorry did not collect next time they came around. Just left a note on the bins that they can only collect what's in the bins, but as an extra, they put all the bin bags in the wheelies for fun. It took them a whole month to work down their rubbish because the bins were always full of stuff, but I've never had to move them again. It was very classy and trashy of you to put the bins back at the fence instead of accidentally rolling them down a hill somewhere. I've got to say, I wasn't on your side regarding the space until they started with the bin nonsense. Though I suppose the CCTV had more to do with it than your good nature. Well played. He is so jealous of our kids and it's starting to scare me. Is this family and marriage even savable? My husband, 42 years old, and I, 35 years old, tried for so long to have our sons and daughter. Due to a health issue my husband suffered, he developed fertility issues, and we had to get medical assistance to be able to have our children, because if we didn't, he'd probably never have kids. So we went through fertility treatment. He desperately wanted children, and we spent a fortune just to bring them into the world, and now he's jealous and distant with them. He's constantly in competition with his own infant children. If I hold the children, he gets frustrated. Anytime they take my attention away, he gets completely upset. He's always in a foul mood, irritable, and just downright nasty. I don't understand it. Why is he like this? Our children are barely 6 months, and they won't stop crying every time he's near. I feel like they can sense his negativity. I tried talking to him. I have suggested he take interest in the kids and spend more time with us as a family. I know it can sometimes take a little longer for parents to bond with their children, but this is downright scary to experience. He's full of jealousy and envy. He sees our children as competition to my time and affections. A few times now, he has made comments about feeling frustrated that I still breastfeed our children. The thing is we mix feed, so he has had ample opportunity to feed them and he just doesn't. He also said that this, meaning our life and our marriage after children, wasn't what he thought it would be like. I mean, what did he expect? A single baby cries and 3 of them cry a lot. We've been together for 8 years and married for 7 years. He wanted these children. He pushed for them and now this. I never thought this would ever be me. I am scared. I am scared for my children. I have tried talking to him, but he just brushes me off. I have suggested counseling. He refuses. He tells me it's all in my head. I want to save this marriage, but I am scared I won't be able to, and maybe it's not worth saving. He comes home later every day. He avoids us on the weekends and any time he has off. I'm not ashamed to say that I went through his phone, and there are a lot flirtatious texts between him and a Jessica. I don't think anything has happened between them, but it sure looks like they are building up to it. I haven't said anything because I'm afraid. Where do I go with 3 children, with no money and no family that can help me? I haven't worked in 2 years, and I've spent all my savings on having these children. My mind is in a complete meltdown. I can't sleep, I can't think, and I'm always exhausted. What the heck happened? Is this him now forever? I'm sorry you're dealing with this, but it sounds like your situation is toxic and not worth trying to salvage. A father who is jealous of his children and wants you to stop breastfeeding is a major red flag. I left my husband for similar reasons and it was the best decision I ever made. Please consider seeking help from a therapist who specializes in domestic violence and start making plans to leave. You deserve better. Am I the antagonist for no longer helping carry my mother's packages? My 26 years old mother, 51 years old, has a side hustle selling clothing and accessories, and I travel for work often. Several times in the past, she has asked me to receive packages for her while I'm on my work trips. She does this because it saves her money to have me receive them and carry them to her, rather than for her to have them shipped internationally to herself. I found it slightly annoying to have to receive her packages at a hotel, but I did it anyway, since I was paying a lot less in rent by living with her. Whenever I mentioned to her that I didn't want to be having to worry about her shipments while I was on my work trips, she would complain saying it couldn't be causing me that much trouble. Why can't I honor such a simple request? She would never refuse to help me if I needed it. Blah blah blah. I just put up with it until I moved out. Recently I took a vacation to Asia to visit friends and family. About a week before I left, my mom sprung on me that there was a package she wants me to carry for her to where I was visiting. I was annoyed and concerned about space in my suitcase as well as how I should explain the items to customs officials if I were asked. But again my mom complained saying her package was tiny and that I could just say that they were gifts for family. Once again I carried them anyway to keep the peace. After I delivered her package during my visit, she called me again saying there was another package she wanted me to bring back for her. I was once again annoyed but took the package anyways. After my return flight I had to spend a night before making a day-long drive back home the next day. Before I even exit the plane after my 14-hour flight, my mom calls me again and asks me to pick up yet another package for her. This meant I would have had to stay one more night and drive home a day later than originally planned. I told her to forget it and that I wouldn't be changing my plans just to carry her packages. She complained again saying I'm already so close to where it is, and why can't I just get it for her? I told her to stop and that I needed to rest after my flight. When I saw her again after my trip, I told her I was done carrying packages for her and not to ask me in the future, and that she was selfish for dumping so many packages on me to carry. She got upset again and went off about how I had no right to call her selfish, how she's done so much more for me growing up, and how she would never deny a request for help from me. I said I wouldn't be changing my mind and that was that. She responded saying she wouldn't be asking me again anyway, because I've heard her enough. So am I the a-hole? Carrying unknown packages through customs is incredibly risky, especially during a work trip. It's understandable that these favors for your mom are cutting into your schedule and upsetting work-life balance. And to top it off, she doesn't even pay you for doing her these favors. You're lucky you haven't had any issues with customs going through your luggage. Am I the antagonist for telling my mother the truth and practically making her cry? I am 24 years old, female, and I live with my parents and younger brother. Recently, my computer broke where I could continue with my business. I make and design patterns for various things and sell them, while I study part-time in my engineering degree. However, I have decided that I should prioritize work because I have bills to pay and part of the vacation I paid for my family. My biological dad lent me something to repair my laptop while I used my small savings to put my first degree to use. I graduated from a high school specialized in non-university but close degrees, so to speak at the age of 19 I graduated, and my degree is a little below an architect or engineer. It even allows me to be a teacher if I want. My parents were not happy when I graduated, and even less when I worked as an electrician's assistant. My boss was my uncle and my teacher. After 2 years and about to be independent, my parents threatened to file a false police report against my uncle if I continued working with him. I had to cut contact with part of the family to avoid repercussions. Nowadays, everyone pretends insanity that nothing happened, but my uncle and I know perfectly well what happened. I am tired and have decided to put my career on hold while I get my life in order and take advantage of the opportunity to work with my cousin as a contractor. I already signed almost all the papers in this last week. I have bills to pay and I want to be financially independent. My parents are not happy and want me to continue studying or dedicate myself to working in something else, as a telephone operator or secretary. I refused, but my mother took me aside to talk away from my stepfather. She asked me why I wanted to work and if I was sure, since I could work with her at the hospital where she works. My mother is a nurse, as a secretary. I told her no, I wanted to use my title and that I was sad that she didn't support me. She asked me that she always supported me. I was the one who didn't talk to her. I started crying and told her that I did everything I could to make her proud. I got the best grades, I had high honors, my thesis received almost an 80, and I was third in the best average in my class. I stayed at home and was the one who repaired everything so that I wouldn't have to spend money and so that she would be happy. I told her that I was sad but not angry, and she started crying saying that she remembers now and that she never intended to make me feel bad. I told her that I was sad, but that in the end I understood her and I didn't blame her. I just didn't understand her. I don't know what she wants me to do. It's hard to know the likely motivations of your mother, but she is toxic. Your parents trying to control your career path by filing a false police report is not normal. You're not the asshole for trying to live your life and move on, even though your mom is struggling to let go. It's a tough situation, but you deserve to move forward and not look back. Am I the antagonist for telling my stepdad he's inserting himself too much and cannot make demands surrounding my wedding or engagement? I, 28 years old female, got engaged 4 months ago to Chris, 28 years old male. Chris was confronted by my stepdad after we announced our engagement. My stepdad was peeved that Chris didn't ask for my hand in marriage or my stepdad's blessing. He told Chris I am his only little girl and it would be the most respectful thing to both of us to ask for his permission blessing. Chris told him it was an outdated concept, and if we were to do the whole blessing thing, we would visit my dad's grave to ask. My stepdad told him that he's the dad he asks. He's the father of the bride and he's the future father-in-law. Chris didn't tell me about this right away because he said he had hoped it would blow over and he didn't want me to feel bad about it or for me to deal with stress regarding my stepdad. Last month, my stepdad asked me why I hadn't approached him for money for the wedding, why he wasn't asked directly to give me away and perform the father-daughter dance. He told me he was starting to feel very overlooked as the father of the bride, and he was not okay with it. He told me this is big for him, the only girl getting married and all that. Background: my dad died when I was 6 and my mom married my stepdad when I was 9 or 10. I knew him for just shy of a year when he and my mom married. I was my mom and dad's only child. My stepdad brought 3 sons into the marriage and he and my mom had 3 more sons together. I respect that my stepdad wanted to be my dad and committed to being a dad to me, but he's very old-fashioned and he's not my dad. I don't really love him. I find him overbearing and misogynistic at the best of times. He did not like that I wanted to go to college for game design and development. He thought that was very masculine and also never liked me playing video games. He was very into the idea of a daughter though, and often tried to take me to father-daughter balls that he'd look up. I actually gave him the money back he saved for me for college and spent my dad's money, because I wasn't going to let him dictate my future and my dad did support me. He wrote a letter saying he hoped I followed my dreams of making games. I only read that when I gained access to the money, he left me. I told my stepdad he wasn't walking me down the aisle or performing any kind of father-daughter dance with me. I told him I wasn't looking for his money. He told me that's what the father of the bride does and he wants to do it. He told me it's tradition. I said I was not traditional and I was not having a traditional wedding. A few days after, we rehashed the same stuff. I found out about his confronting Chris then and went to my stepdad and told him he had no right. He argued as my dad, he has every right. I told him he's not my dad and he's inserting himself way too much and cannot make demands for my wedding or engagement. He told me to say that to him after almost 20 years is disgusting, and he has been my dad far longer than my sperm donor was. Am I the a-hole? Your stepdad's disrespectful behavior towards your father is completely unacceptable and grounds for uninviting him. It's important to have a serious conversation with him about boundaries and put him in his place. Your wedding should be your choice, and his entitlement and control issues are concerning. It's clear that his ego and beliefs about gender roles are clouding his judgment. Remember, it's your special day, and you deserve to be surrounded by people who support and respect you. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.